So, before I get into this episode of Parasyte, let me just establish this, because this did get kind of mixed up last week. Some people thought that I thought last week's episode was bad and that I did not like the series anymore. That is not true. I still do like the series, and last week did have a good episode. I was just stating that there were problems with it, and that was all. This week, it's pretty much the same thing. This was a really good episode, especially towards the end. The ending was fantastic, but before that, I'm just gonna point out some of the problems. I'm not gonna, elaborate on them like I did last week. I'm not gonna go way too far in depth. There were a couple of times, not even a couple, I think it was like 3 or 4 times, where in the episode it just kind of felt like, not as if they just, it almost felt like they threw events at us. Not as if the anime or the manga was rushed or anything, just as if it just kind of felt like they were just throwing shit at you. Like, because you've seen the episode. If you haven't seen the episode, please leave now, because this is a spoiler, this is spoiler zone, and, that's how my reviews work. Yeah, so when Shinichi's mother got parasited, to say the least, we just kind of saw the parasite pop up, slice, next scene. And it was just kind of like, whoa, 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 something big just happened. Why was there, like, no build up to that event at all? Like, it was a really good shock factor, I'll say that. It didn't make me, like, jump out of my seat, and I wasn't, like, eyes widened or anything. I was just like, oh, well, okay, that happened, which is what I felt like for most of this episode. Kind of like when Murano and Shinichi were walking down like the alley, and all of a sudden, like, there's just this random scene of Murano and somebody's arms like being kidnapped and stuff, or Shinichi falling to the ground, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? It just kind of felt like, hey, it happened. So it's just like, oh, okay. Now there, other than that, most of the episode was pretty good. About back to the mom's death scene. This isn't gonna take off any points for the anime at all. But next time you do an intro, Madhouse, don't spoil what's in the anime through the intro. I mean, like, there's that part in the intro where Shinichi's mom just like gets the lines through her face. So it was just like, yeah, thanks for telling me she's a parasite. That's okay. Now that we're done with the complaints, I think that this was actually a really good episode. Let me just start this off like this. When I watched this on Crunchyroll, the frame rate looked way too high to be on Crunchyroll. Like, that may have just been me. So either this was a smooth 30 or it was 60 in some places in terms of frame rate. I doubt it was 60. I'm more so towards the fact that it was probably a smooth 30 because it looked fantastic for like the first minute or two. Like when the car accident happened, there was the frame rate on Crunchyroll in 1080p looked way too damn smooth for Crunchyroll, and I'll say that. That's a good job. Madhouse, the animation, as always, gonna be fantastic. And they did a really good job at it. I don't think that there was really anything special with the art, but it was still a good job by Madhouse. Then, you got that Parasite orgasming while walking up the street. You know what I'm saying? That was cool. I was dying at that part, and I couldn't take off points because I really didn't know what was happening, which is something that I will say about this episode. There were some scenes, kind of like at the beginning, when that one girl that Shinichi met, I don't remember hearing her name, but yeah, when she kind of just popped up, the girl that followed him home. She just kind of popped up at the beginning, she stared into his eyes, saw like this random eye, and I'm just kind of like, what just happened? uh, that's not necessarily bad as long as they explain it later, but that's the problem. Most of the time when something like that happens, you tend to want to explain it in that episode, but if they explain to it eventually, it's not really going to be a problem. What I will say is that there were two psychological parts that I thought really stood out in the episode. For the most part, even though, Parasite is a psychological anime, it hasn't really hit that marquee place of being quote-unquote psychological until really this episode, because there were really two good scenes. Like the whole concept of the parasite and humans living together in a sense is kind of psychological, but it doesn't have a big psychological impact on the viewer, whereas the part where Shinichi was deciding whether to kill the guy or not, or use his parasite or not, like holding back his anger, and the denial of his mom at the end of the episode, that was great. And the fact that it's pretty much confirmed because of like the ending for this episode, like after the credits, they just showed Shinichi kind of running out and he was fine, he just had a hole in his back. So it's pretty much confirmed he's not dead. That would be fantastic if they did kill him, not because he's a bad character, but because it would show that really this is really anybody can die at any time. So yeah, that's really about it. There were some really good psychological parts in the episode, but like I said, there were some problems where it just kind of felt like some stuff was getting thrown at you rather than like it actually just kind of progressively happening. Like the mom just kind of dying next scene where there was just kind of like no really transition into like the mom dying. It was just like they're on a hill, they're talking, done. Where, not like they needed to like build it up for like 5 minutes, but I feel as if like they could have just like built the moment up just a bit more, and that's all. But that's a manga thing because from what I've heard, this anime has been almost perfectly adapted, so I'm not gonna count off really too many points for that. Like in terms of like where Parasite is now, to me it's like a low 8 to just an 8 flat, but it's still good. I thought this episode was still good. It just had problems, and that was all. I don't hate the series, so yeah, you in the comments. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and as always, I will see you guys on the next video. Deuces!